the first book of Moses, called Genesis, chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And what I want to point out to you right from the gate is that within the first 5 verses of Genesis, we've already read about Jesus the Christ. He's there, but he's hidden there. And this is something that must be revealed to an individual. So let's take a deep dive to lay this foundation and go through a few scriptures so that we can see that Yahshua HaMashiach, whom the world calls Jesus the Christ, is indeed at the very beginning of the book. All right. Let's point out a few scriptures so you can get this understanding here. First, let's talk about the first 3 words that we read. In the beginning. I want to give you this understanding. Those are just not 3 haphazard words. They have a very profound meaning. In the beginning. Now, the beginning, when we define those words, it's like an act or a fact of entering upon an action, right? It's an act of bringing into existence. It's a commencement. It's a origination. It's a point in time. It's a point in time and a point of space, which, time and space, you need time and space for existence, right? It's a source. The beginning is a source. And some people, you hear people calling God source now. You know what I mean? This is the beginning, right? So in the beginning, those 3 words are very profound, and there's a lot there, just right there. And so we're going to dive into this and take the time to lay this foundation so we can see what's really here in these first 5 verses of Genesis. All right. So in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So let me take you to Romans chapter 16 real quick. Because I said you read about Jesus the Christ already, but you don't see his name there. You don't see it. So it's hidden. And this is part of when the Bible speaks of a mystery, and there's a reason why it's hidden. I'll get into all that, but let's go to Romans chapter 16, verse 25. So Romans chapter 16, verse 25. Let me get there. Romans chapter 16, verse 25, and it says, "Now to him that is of power to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery which was kept secret since the world began, but now is made manifest, and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting God, made known unto all nations for the obedience of faith." So Romans chapter 16, verse 25 tells us that according to the revelation of the mystery, which was kept secret since the world began. So there was something that was a mystery and kept secret since the world began. There was something there in the beginning. And Paul said, but now is made manifest. So now that secret that was in the beginning before the world began was manifest, in the New Testament era. And I'm telling you now that that's Jesus Christ that was in the beginning, but he was hidden. He was in secret, but he was manifest. The word was manifest in the New Testament time, right? So let's go to another verse to see if we can find some evidence of this mystery, this secret. Let me take you to Ephesians chapter 3. Ephesians chapter 3. Just follow me here. I'm going to break this down. We need to lay this foundation so you can have an understanding of what's going on in the Old Testament. And right from the beginning it's there. So Ephesians chapter 3, it says, chapter 3 verse 9, it reads, "And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world has been hidden in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ." Now, that's pretty straightforward. It's letting us know that there was a mystery which was in the beginning that had been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. So we look in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. It says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." In Ephesians chapter 3 verse 9 tells us that there was a mystery in the beginning of the world, which has been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. And in the first chapter here, this is the creation. So right here in Ephesians, it says that God created all things by Jesus Christ. How do you create all things by Jesus Christ if Jesus Christ wasn't there? He had to be there for God to use him to create all things. Now, bear with me here. Let me give you some more evidence of this mystery that was hidden, okay? So there was something going on that was hidden in the beginning. So verse 2 in Genesis chapter 1, it says, "The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." So we see, we've already read in Ephesians chapter 3 verse 9 that God created all things by Jesus Christ. But we know that God was there, and we already learned that something was hid in God, right? Let me see here. What verse was that? It said, that was Romans, right? Romans 16 said there was a mystery hid in God. So something's there. We know God is there creating, and we see the Spirit of God in verse 2. Let me pause this.